work, yeah.
All right, you legends. We're out here again. It is cold.
It is.
What does this say? What's the temperature? 4 Celsius.
It's about 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
We're equipped.
We need to save our battery for this thing.
High humidity.
I've got actually 2.
You got 2?
Yeah, I got 2, so we're good. But we're going out into the forest today. As Mike Barrera said, this is a day for the hard men. There's a lot of climbing. Should be fun. We're going to try to get a lot of shots out in the forest today. Should be something to see.
Yeah.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands. We picked up the riders that joined our group ride, and we headed out on Research Forest and on Honea-Egypt Community Road all the way into Honea. Lots of action there. We stopped at Taco, and then we went out on 1097 there, across the lake a little bit, into the forest on Mount Pleasant Road. On Bethel, we came back and then took Bailey Grove to 149. Stopped at Taco again, reloaded, went by Springbranch Road there. The day never really warmed up, and because of all the rain we had, it was just cold. It stayed around 40 degrees Fahrenheit, about 5 Celsius for most of the ride. And some of the riders complained about being cold because they didn't have like the layered gloves and all that kind of stuff. So the details really matter. I think you would love the clips we got for you. The ride was very heated through the neighborhood coming back on Grand Lake Estates. We're on the open road, Research Forest Boulevard in the Woodlands, Texas. Because of all the rain we've had, this 5 Celsius, which is about 41 degrees, feels like 35. It is cold, high humidity. Abby is still wearing summer shorts. I don't know how he does it. You will hear Paul chat with him. Paul lived all over South Dakota, Omaha, Nebraska, Colorado, and settled in Texas because he doesn't care for the cold weather. So we don't mess with the cold. I'm wearing one of my warmest hats, because when it's below 40 and it's damp, I felt high humidity in the air, it feels colder. So I'm at the front sitting with Laura. And Laura is styling in the female version of the Rafa kit, and she did it proud. It looked good. I love the combination she had. It's almost like some kind of a burnt orange, red-orange kind of jersey, bordering on a little light burgundy, but then it blends with the shorts, because the letters on the jersey pick up a color from the shorts she's wearing. So Laura knows how to put it together. And she was not one of those that was complaining about being cold. Mike is very sensitive to cold. This is Mike Barrera in his stealth outfit from San Diego, California. He's now a Texan. I keep saying San Diego. He's Texas Mike. So he's been here long enough. He's one of us.
Just swimming sideways. I'll go back.
Let me know.
All right.
Yeah, Frank was asking Paul if he wanted to get in the line. So Mike Barrera is here, and he's all geared up, but Mike's gloves have like a battery that heats it up, and it wasn't working today. The battery failed it. So his hands ended up being cold. But other than that, I think he was okay. He runs cold anyway, And that's the thing, when you buy stuff, don't just go by what they say. You got to know your tolerance. Everybody's different. So you might need to layer. Like I've got my all-trans gloves on, but I've got them layered with wool liners, because anything below 50, my hands get cold. So I layer them. And so as a result, everything was okay. So, a trial and error. You guys have been on this channel, long enough. You've seen we've done rides where we had to turn around because our hands were so cold. It was like 2C on one ride a couple of years ago. So you got to get out there, experience, and find out what you need in the varying temperatures. It's never the same. It's a constant dynamic. You see what I'm wearing? Black, and then I got those little accents, the pink and the coral. Paul's trying to get the front of the group here, because that pops like that. The contrast makes you more visible. And because my legs are moving, you see my feet are moving, so I put the color on the overshoes So, you know, give it a little bit of thought. The night before is when I put my outfits together. Because in the morning, you just run out of time. There's always something. So always get your bike ready. Day before, you know, check it. Make sure everything's fine. That's what we do like on Friday. I do a short ride if I can. And I make sure everything I'm going to be using on the weekend, the bike-related stuff, is working. Lube my chain, the tires, the wheels. I check them, all that. So that you don't get your ride interrupted. This is a big day for us every Saturday, so I don't want to have mechanicals unnecessarily. I want to be on the bike moving. To put that little extra time in, it would just cut down on any interferences with your ride. This is Abby here. He's got his feet covered. His upper body's warm, but his legs are exposed. So I don't know how he tolerates it. I can't. My knees are very sensitive to anything much below 50. So we're just chatting. This is our warm-up. That's Frank right there on the right in the green and yellow and then the black gilet next to Mike Beretta. San Diego, Texas Mike. That's what I'm going to call him. We've claimed him. And that's John Mulbrecht in the front next to Laura in the white jacket there. He got a little cold even with that jacket. That jacket didn't end up being warm enough for him. Maybe he didn't have enough layers underneath. So it's a constant thing you got to watch. And it's going to vary based on how hard you're riding, all of that. And you will see later in the ride, Abby will pick up the pace when we get to Springbranch Road. And then Laura says she asked him, and he said he did that because he was getting cold. You know, we had been chilling after we had left Taco the second time. So yeah, so by riding harder, you will feel warm. There's a story about the Badger Benaino that he was in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and it was rainy and cold in Belgium, and his coach said, "You want to get warm? Ride hard."
It's cold this morning.
Something like that.
Is it?
I feel it.
Not too bad. Better than last week.
You say not
Man,
the
you
4C? Yeah, it is a little warmer than last week, but it's cold.
Better than last week.
Yeah.
Last week was colder than this.
Man, you're used to this because you Baltimore man.
Oh, no, I don't know about that.
You see?
Yeah,
man.
there is different.
I was in the South Dakota. I ran away from there. I went to Omaha. I ran away from there. I went to Colorado. Then I said, no, I can't. Texas it is. Yeah.
Yeah, those places where Paul's talking about, they're cold.
I just
South
can't handle
Dakota,
cold,
Omaha,
man.
Nebraska. Been to all those places. Chew the same dirt.
So we were riding on.
I don't mess with the cold. I don't mess with the heat either. It gets hot, I lighten it up. Go up early, go out early in the morning or late in the day. And it's very hot. Because in the middle of the day around here, it's hot. It's hotter than where I grew up in Western Africa. Texas is hot and humid. There's not a whole lot of breeze. Because where I grew up was on the ocean, the Atlantic coast.
Yeah,
And so it's very
just can't get
breezy.
used to
But the
this
heat
stuff.
here is more intense. And I think it's based on the northern hemisphere. We're closer to the sun when the sun tilts in the summer. But where I grew up we're near the equator, so the intensity of the sun stayed the same. We catch the green light here at 1488 on Egypt Road. This section becomes Conroe Huffsmith Road. I think that's what they call it. So back in the day, before the major highways opened, Fishcreek did not used to be wide open. In like 2002, Fishcreek ended. There was no bridge that we currently go down. That bridge was
I
not
just
there.
wanted to say hello in San Diego to my brother Joseph and my sister-in-law Gracie, and especially my mom Dory. Love you, Dory.
That's Mike Barrera, San Diego, Texas Mike. One of the hard men from the north. Museo will be proud. So Mike has heated socks. You can see the little bulges on his ankle. They have batteries in them. And he also has heated gloves. But the gloves failed. The battery failed in the gloves. So his hands were like icy cold on this ride. But it didn't stop him from heating up the ride later. You'll see. It was fun. And that's the thing with our group. The group determines the pace. We don't say beforehand what we're doing. Depending on who shows up and the time of the day, the pace will happen. And then what we do is we decide if we want to stay with the front group at this time, or, then we practice chasing back or just maintaining the main group's effort. You'll see that develop. But that's the way you want your group to be. You don't want to restrict people. This is fun. This is not work. We just want everybody to be safe and have fun. So let people do their thing. If they go faster and somebody want to go with them, you'll see it develop. People will go with them. And then we catch back up. And that's why I call this like early season speed work, because that's really what it is. It's time to start revving up stuff. It's February. The guys who do USCF racing, they probably have races already that have started. And so it's time to work on some top end work. This is my second week back after taking that break, so I did a little some, but not too much. And you'll see that develop on camera. You gotta listen to your body. If you're in a ride and you're riding and you start feeling the muscles in your legs start twinging like they want to cramp, what that means is you're doing a little too much for your current fitness level. Listen to that and back off before you get a full-on cramp, Nothing wrong with that. Stay with the group B or C or however many splits occurs. Nothing wrong with that. You guys will group together. So Laura has been cycling seriously for 3 years. She sent me some pictures where she got the bug after doing a Cat 5 race in California and never looked back. But she's very serious and very focused, so she has improved tremendously in a short time because she's not wasting her time just guessing. She does the research, and she has gotten in the past, I don't know if she probably still has, she has gotten professional assistance with coaching and so forth. That goes a long way. We're going to be turning left. This is Fishcreek. This section right here is called Honea-Egypt. And then by that light, when we turn left, it's called Honea-Egypt Community Road. If you go straight, this road is called Sendera Boulevard. The overall name is the FM 2978. And then they name sections. We do that a lot on our highways. Like we got a highway 105, depending on what time you're going, what town you're going through. They might call it Eva Street over here or whatever. We have a lot of roads like that. But the original name is for the whole road, and then subsections are named after people. So right here is Honea-Egypt Community Road. From Honea-Egypt Road, we're going to turn left on it. And then Sendera Boulevard is straight. And in 2002, Sendera Boulevard only went maybe 2 miles, and it ended at the golf course. A few miles down the road. It did not go all the way through. The light, we get the green light here. There was a flashing yellow, so we waited for the traffic. Now we got the green. I think I'm gonna wave John up, because I've been sitting, and then I'll probably get behind the Honea-Egypt Community Road. That's what they call this. This is one of my favorite roads in the area. This kind of road with this, what I call ambiance. It's not a road to sit and chat with your buddy. Put your head down, do some work. You don't need to kill yourself, but this is a road to get you out of town, and you feel like you're in the country, even though we're still close to the woodlands. So on a road like this, wherever possible, ride like we do, because you can see the drivers will be able to see around you guys to determine when to go around. It's easier for them. when you're two abreast on a road like this, they have to move so much further into that lane to see around you, especially on a curvy road like this. But don't ride off the road to where you're pretty much on the edge of the pavement, because the pavement falls off on a road like this. You want to ride where you see Mike Barrera is. You want to be where the right tire of the cars roll, and so that they have to move over as they go by. Don't ride like you're scared to use the road. You have a right to use the road. Do not enforce that right if somebody's acting crazy. Get out of the way. It's not worth it. But, you know, it doesn't mean that you need to ride scared. And that applies for everything. You know, if somebody's trying to ram my car, I'm not going to let them ram my car because I have the right to drive my car. I'd avoid the crash. You know, that's why we're given common sense. Nobody wins a war. So we don't want conflicts. And I'm just mentioning that. It doesn't happen that often, but there's a tendency to remember the negative. You know, you pass by thousands of cars, and then one guy comes real close or does something stupid, and then you remember it for the rest of the ride. Don't let that ruin your ride. It doesn't take more than one crazy person to damage something. So all you want to do is make sure that you're not putting yourself in harm's way. So I use my mirror when I ride. I look around, I look back, I keep my eye. If I hear somebody revving their engine crazy or whatever, I have no problem getting the heck off the road if necessary, so that person can go on and carry their issue somewhere else. I just want to ride my bike. I don't lay claim to anything. This is Honea-Egypt Road. Very, very nice. Very, very good for keeping a good effort. Very few intersections. You can ride this road, I believe, probably about 12 kilometers. And until we get to 2854, we don't have to stop. You'll see it. We filmed the entire stretch. It's a great road to work on your threshold because it's rolling, and so you always got resistance in both directions. We're coming back at the end of the ride. These guys really hammered this hill coming the opposite way. We had to let them go. I'm not ready for those kind of efforts at this week anyway. So we had to let them go. I just stayed with the second group and we kept the tempo, and we caught back up with them later when they got to the light on Fishcreek, 2978. So don't feel like you got to go with everything on the group rides. If you're feeling good, try it. You know, your legs start tightening up and you know you got more Ks to go, back off. Sit in. Drift to the second group. Save it so you get home and not feeling beat up after the ride. I do these rides to have energy for the rest of the day. I don't want to get home feeling like I'm wiped out. When I used to race, there were races I did where I felt like that sometimes, you know, but that was like a race, you know. But just for these rides, I don't beat myself up like that. I got other things to do when I get home on Saturday. And I'm sure you know what I mean. So just, you know, enjoy it. Listen to your body at all times, not your ego, guys. The ladies have no trouble letting go. We're the guys that be riding our legs off. There's a lot of splits here because this road from time to time gets covered with water when we have a lot of rain, and that's why it cracks. The soil underneath gets washed away. I believe that John might be pulling, and then, yeah, I think it's John pulling. We're very surprised to have a nice turnout like this because it's very cold in the area. A lot of the other rides were either postponed or didn't happen because it was just cold and wet, and then the forecast said it was supposed to be cloudy. That's why I dressed like I did. And you can see if you look above, the skies are clearing. So we got a little bit of sunshine, maybe 3 hours into the ride or so. especially when we're coming back on Keenan-Cutoff. It got very bright. It was surprising because I dressed for an overcast day. I even wore my clear lenses that are transitional, made by Rudy Project. Every time I drift out to where you can see me in camera, rest assured, I've looked in my mirror. Because that's where I normally ride when I'm solo, right where you see me right now. I use that right where Frank is. I always stay where the car tires are because that's the cleanest spot on any road. As a result, I rarely have flats. Most of my flats occur when it's wet and things that you can't see stick to your tire and work their way in, like we call it flint. Small pieces of wire or glass or whatever. It's just, you know, you need tweezers to get them out of the tire, that kind of stuff. I put new tires on my bike. Every 3 months or so, I check my tires to make sure, especially the ones I use in the winter, they were long in the tooth, I got new tires on. Because new rubber can resist flats. You'll see those cuts that you see on your tires are flats that could have happened if you didn't have good quality rubber. So the cuts mean something got on the tire, cut it, and fell off, and did not get to the tube. So every cut you see is a flat you avoided. So keep your tires in good condition. Don't wait till they're completely bald. You don't need to get every penny out of it. Especially for your big rides. If you're fortunate enough to have separate wheels, then have a set of wheels with your best tires on for your good rides. And then have one that you train on. But especially for training, I don't like to have mechanical when I'm training because then you don't train. Then you're spending time working on the bike. So I like to just keep moving. So I'll keep all my tires in good condition. I don't want to be fixing flats when it's cold. That's not fun. So keep up with it. You know, shop for tires when they're on sale. Don't wait till you're in a jam and run to the LBS. You know, because they got to charge you because they have to keep that in inventory. They've got overhead and other stuff. So you're going to pay more. They can't compete with the online people. You know, I support the local guys because when you're in a jam, they are the ones who will fix your bike to get you back on the road for that ride, that ride on Saturday when you found something broken on Friday night. So we want them to keep their doors open. Michael Bragg, the hard man of the north. Mike shows up for all the rides when everybody else reneges sometimes. Mike loves going into the forest. But Mike takes the time to smell the roses. Got a good position. You see how, look at Mike versus Frank in front. Mike looks like a greyhound on his bike. He's got that classic angle, the angle on his bike. He's not sitting upright and catching air like a sail. That's Abby, the tough man. Abby says he doesn't wear tights until it's below freezing. I laugh because I don't ride below freezing, so he must be riding alone. I mean, most of us, if it's below freezing and it's not gonna cross the freezing mark, I think I'll take the day off, watch Tom and Jerry, do some push-ups or get on the trainer if I must. You know, maybe go to the gym and get in a heated pool or something. It's just too cold. Because once you get out there, it's already below freezing and then the wind hits you, your face, you know. I love what Mike wears on his face. It's got holes in it to where he doesn't get too hot from his breath. You know how when you cover with a balaclava, after a while you start going hard, you got to pull that thing down. But his is designed, it looks almost like a custom-made mask for his face with holes and preparation for his nostril. It's just, it looks good. Almost like a neoprene-looking kind of face covering. So that's the way. Respect the weather. Walk outside. Check it out. Be prepared. I do the same thing in the summer. I walk outside. If it's super hot, I get the lightest stuff I have. No base layer. Gets above 80 degrees, I'm not wearing any base layer because my body just runs hot. Because one ride, those of you been on the channel, I was riding with more of them. It was a mild day, and I had on a lightweight, so-called summer base layer from ASOS, and I overheated. I had to let them go. I just got too hot. So I don't fall for that base layer in the summer making you cooler stuff. Nope, I put on a lightweight jersey. Let the air hit my skin through that. A few months from now, it's going to be hot around here. By May, the heat settles and sticks around. So I love this time of the year, especially down here in Southeast Texas. I love the shoulder seasons. You know, fall, spring, and then winter. I love, those are my favorite times of the year in this region where we reside. Why can't everybody pass like that guy? He didn't rev his engine. He didn't gun it, nothing. Just continue driving. So you don't get startled, you know? You know what I mean. Some drivers come by like they're mad at the world. Like, come on. Chill. Take a chill pill. It's not that big a deal. So I'm keeping my cadence 80-ish to 90-ish. This road is undulating, so you're always working. This is what they graded. They did the same thing. They shaved up the road on Springbranch Road and a couple of curves there. I'm like, come on. The curves didn't seem to be that intense. They're spoiling these guys. People need to slow down when it's wet. Everybody knows it's slippery when wet. I'm telling John we're going straight. He thought we're going left. Then he asked, we're going straight? I told him, yeah. So Laura goes ahead and takes over the pool. Laura rode great today. She was a monster on this ride. I called it Laura abuse when we stopped at Taco. She knows what I mean. The line with Mo was hammering out, she called it Mo abuse. So I switched. I said, today is Laura abuse. We went through the forest, we're off camera. She set a nice tempo. It was very enjoyable. I really like that we can just get on our bikes at home and roll out without having to put the bike in a car. And you know, within 35, 40 minutes, we're almost out of town, so to speak. This we kind of live on the shoulder of the city. The Woodlands is a suburb, is a township. And so it's nice. I like living on the outskirts, you know, so when we go into the metro area, it's nice. It's a change, but we don't have to deal with that regularly. So I mean, if you look around, we're not that far from the Woodlands, and it's almost like you're in an ag culture area. Look at like agricultural homes. See those fences? Very rural looking. Because a few years ago, that's all that was out here. You know, you guys see all the animals. I like to harass the cows and stuff. They look at you and they have personalities. That all adds to the ambiance of the ride. So I look forward to coming, how can I say, to getting out of town on the weekend. It's almost like I'm taking a little vacation every weekend. Get out of town. Get away from all the things you see during the week. There's one of these things, I mean, there's like a 5% bump. Laura rode that thing like it was flat. You see my watts going up? I kept my cadence just comfortable. You know what? I don't know what gear I'm in, but it's like she's just rode it like it was flat. And you can't get a draft up of Laura or Mo because they get so low. And I think Mike said that. Mike Barrera said Mo gets lower than Laura because he said he prefers following Laura because he feels like he's in a draft. You follow Mo, you feel like you're pulling. He rolls himself so low over that bike. He just disappears. He tucks his shoulder in. So one time Doug Shot said, Mo eats the wind. Oh man, gotta love it. That's what makes cycling interesting. It's the personalities that you socialize with. You can ride the same route every time by yourself. It's not as much fun. But it's who shows up that makes the ride. Yeah, a lot of times I didn't used to feel like riding sometimes, and then knowing that I was meeting Paul for like the Rafa Festive 500, that just forced me to get out of bed and get ready, you know. Having that appointment, you know, gets you out, gets you motivated to get out there. And then once you get out there, you're like, wow, this is fun, you know, and you think, well, I was thinking about that coming. So you know, hook up with a group or some of your mates. It helps get you out the door. Clear your head. You come back with a new perspective when you get home and you're in a good mood. My wife kicks me out. If I don't ride, she wants me to get out. She wants to know, are you sick? She says, when you ride, you're in a better mood when you come back. You're not grouchy. So I like to ride anyway. So if that's something that my significant other likes as well, its effect on me, I might as well go ahead and get the K's in. So I can be more popular around the house. Because sometimes you're not aware when you're in a grouchy mood. You know, you're short with the people closest to you. That's not a whole lot of fun because you probably have a lot on your mind. You know, we deal with a lot of stuff on a regular basis. So get on the bike, you forget all that stuff. And you need that. You need that break from life, so to speak. The little niggling issues that we all deal with. And it gives you a better perspective. I know that when I ride consistently and I'm dealing with, let's say, customer support on something, you know, I'm buying something online or whatever, I'm always in a better mood. I don't give people a hard time. It gives me more patience, which I was not born with. So cycling has changed me and calmed me down. I like its effect physically and emotionally on my person. So that's another reason I ride. Makes me a better man. Better person to be around. So, you know, you need to think about it. I'm sure it does the same for you. This road is going up. It may not be much. I don't know what it says. Let's see. Probably says 1% or something, yeah. But it's gonna go up to about probably 2.5, 3 in the distance. We're gonna get near Leah Drive. That's another reason we like coming on this road. This entire time I've been chattering, no intersection. You need to find a road like this when you want to work on sustaining efforts, whether it's threshold or, you know, just steady endurance. That's why we go out of town. So we don't mind after a stretch like this when we come to an intersection. You know, it's not a big deal. And sometimes the intersections are a welcome sight, if you know what I mean. A stop sign can be the best equalizer on a very hard ride. Yeah, this is where it kicks up. Yeah, 3%. I think it gets to like 3%. And I think this is where Laura's going to pull off. And I really appreciated her pulling off where it, I don't know if after it ends, but it was almost at the end, because by the time she pulled off, the road leveled off, which favors a big guy like me. And I just kept the effort the same, and the speeds went up. It was a different kind of effort. Because we've been climbing like 300 some watts for a stretch since Leah Drive. And if you're not used to keeping that load on your muscles, then you see, Laura pulled up after the climb was over. I talk about this all the time. That was really cool. Because it's almost like I got to take a break while leading the group. I just kept my legs turning. I'm going through the gears right now. So that's why, you know, if you can, I mean, if you're struggling on a climb, you know, there's no point in you sitting up there. I think one time Mo said, don't sit up there and keep going slower and slower because you're letting everybody know you don't have it today. It's like blood in the water. So you get up to the front, you're not feeling it, just pull off. There's no length of time you're supposed to stay there. Pull off, go back to the back, let somebody else come through. Nobody will mind because the group will keep moving. Don't try putting too many rules on your rides. Your main rule should be, let's all be safe. Let's all get home in one piece. That's it. The rest of it, let people have their fun. We're going into the wind here the whole time, and then Abby had suggested when we left the parking lot off camera, like I had proposed that we go west then north, and he suggested let's go east and north. He said because if we go through the forest for the counterclockwise direction, we'll have less wind, and he was spot on. I don't particularly plan my routes worrying about the wind so much. I just want to come out and ride. But yeah, it's a factor. Who wants to go into the wind for 3.5, 4 hours if you can only do it for 2 hours or 2.5? So we saved a lot of direct effort into the wind by going east on 1097 and then north on Mount Pleasant through the forest. I will not stay up there very long, nowhere near as long as Laura had, because I was pulling early in the ride. And so what I'm gonna do is when we turn, I'm gonna wave Frank up. I'm gonna turn, I believe this is Rabon Chapel. So we're on 2854, the FM 2854, this is Rabon Chapel Road. We are in Honea, Texas. Don't blink, you'll miss it. So I wave Frank up. Paulie Longa lets everybody back and then he slips behind Laura here. Look at Laura's kit. I love that color. I'm kind of biased because I love orange, burnt orange. That's almost like Texas A&M color that she's wearing. And then it goes well. Look at that blue. And then there are letters on her kit that pick up. You see the armband? It's close to the colors in the tights she's wearing. And the front of the tights have a different material, typical Rafa. They have a different material for blocking the wind. The back material, that blue you see, breathes to keep you cooler. The front blocks that wind from coming through. It resists water. So that color, almost like a turquoise looking, matches the armband on her top. And then the letters, of course, the convicts of the road letters, all of that match. I was like, man, that's what it matters. If you're gonna do a job, you gotta wear the uniform. It doesn't matter what you pay for stuff. What matters is, are they functional for this purpose? Meaning that if somebody were to give me something free that made me cold on a ride, they can keep it. I'd much rather pay for something that will keep me warm on a ride like this. I hope you get what I mean. Don't focus so much on, what you're spending per se. Sometimes you gotta save or wait for sales or whatever. But focus on how well the garment or the product works for you or will work for you. Because it's better to buy one piece that does the job well than have 10 pieces that just don't do the job. Because you won't look forward to wearing any of them. And we only live once. Who are you saving it for? You don't want getting up to go to work every day. Treat yourself. Spoil yourself. Then when you go to work and you're dealing with a jerk of a boss, if you happen to have one, you'll just be Teflon Don because you'll be like, yeah, I'm waiting for the next check so I can get my Asos shoes or whatever it is. I'm just throwing something out. That keeps your temperament. That lets you put up with that crap for as long as you choose to. But I'm just saying, you don't want working for the money? Do not hesitate to spend it on you. So get the best stuff, because you can get a big jacket that will still make your butt cold because it's cheaply made and it has crappy materials. It's not the bulk that will keep you warm. It's the technicality of the fabrics that they put together. That's what I'm talking about. They need to look the business, aesthetics, number one, and they need to function. The day never warmed up, folks. It says 5 Celsius. That's about 41 degrees Fahrenheit. It stayed in the 40s the whole time we're out there. And I had looked at the weather, of course. Knew it wasn't going to warm up. That's why I wore my heavy cap. When I come through, you just notice I'm wearing a wool cap over my ears. That sucker's warm. Nothing cute today. Dressed for Belgian weather, as Mike Barrera put it. This is not the day for any foo-foo outfit, as Paulie Lunga puts it. There's Laura, styling. That's what I'm talking about. You gotta look the business. What else is there? Oh, man. Laura's been doing a lot of work. She's been riding with Mo and them, just tuning stuff. I told her, I said, keep up the work. It's clear she's been doing the work. And the key is, though, it's not just doing the work. You got to rest. You work and then you rest. That's the cycle. Don't ride yourself into the ground. You got to rest. Because sometimes when you overtrain, you get grouchy. If you find yourself having trouble sleeping or what of that, maybe you're doing too much. It's time to back off. Let your body absorb the work you're doing. Gotta love it. I love this sport. You can do it forever. It's one of the few sports that doesn't beat you up. I used to do a lot of running until I started getting shin splints all the time. I'm like, you know what? I'm only gonna run if somebody's chasing me. That's it. And the shin splints will occur after a lot of volume. So it just got to the point where I wanted, and I happened to be using the bike for maintaining my fitness. I just fell in love with it, and I love it. It's not load bearing. It's easier on your body. The only thing is you got to make sure your bike fits you, or you can injure yourself. Those little aches in your shoulders or your elbows, that's signaling an issue with your fit. Don't ignore them. We tolerate a lot, but as you do more, it will be less tolerable. That's why the pros are finicky about their fit. Not only is it a job, but they ride so much that they can't afford to let minor issues with their fit go unchecked. Because they're doing 25, 30 hours a week. You'll feel everything if something's off. So whenever possible, hook up with a group, slip in for a while. You don't have to do the whole ride. If you know where people are leaving from, and you ride in that day, stop by, spin with them for a while. Then you can go off, break off, finish your ride. But whenever possible, incorporate some group riding into your rides. Not only do you meet people that share what you love, but it will also tune you up so you're comfortable riding in the company of other cyclists. Because whenever you do a Grand Fondo and other stuff, you will always be around other people. So you need to get used to that anyway. Plus, I believe that's a way to really push yourself anyway. You don't need a big group. You just need a few people. 3 to 5 is a good number. This is a beautiful turnout for this day. We didn't expect anybody to be there. Because a lot of these guys are not sure sometimes, so they don't say, oh, I'll be there. Abby usually says, yeah, looking forward to the ride. Mike always says, I'm down. So we got a few people that let you know they're going to be there. But what we do is we show up anyway, and then if nobody's there, we wait till maybe 7:35, and then we take off. But most of the time, there's been somebody. There's always somebody there. At least, always Mike is there. You know, and it was good to see Frank, you know, of course. So we put together a little group chat, and we've been adding people for Veloharmony rides. Because we're trying to keep a consistent ride every Saturday. A lot of times when it rains, we don't bother to post because really I don't want to follow wheels in the rain. It's just too messy. So Paul and I just head out. You see how Rafa places those convict, they call it convict stripes. We are convicts, guys, all cyclists. We have a conviction to the road. So Rafa refers to it as convicts of the road. So whether you know it or not, you're a convict. We just love riding our bikes. That's our conviction. So we've kept everything kind of steady, but you know, not too much punchiness until later in the ride. You will see when the punchiness kicks in, and that's the way a ride should be. Let people do what they want to do. Don't restrict people. You feeling good? Go with it. Stick there for a little while, drift back to the second group or whatever. I didn't downshift. I just kind of rolled the gear here. Once you turn, there's a bit of a grade, about 2%. I'm rolling. I'm going to go through and take a pull. Frank has been pulling.
Good job.
Everybody's thanking him for helping the group. So a lot of guys like John Malbrecht, Clement Champoussin in front of Laura here, a lot of times they would just say thank you. Mark Kate used to always say thanks Eldred or thanks this person. He thanks you for assisting the forward progress of the group. Every time you take a pull, that's what you're doing. You're helping the group. Helping the group along. I guess I've been living in a stone age with all my cycling, everything else. You know, that's why you always have to have an open mind. My wife is the least technical person I know. And this week, she bought me a pair of earphones called Beats. Beats Pro.
I said, what a crappy road.
Yeah, Paul said, what a crappy road, a patina on this road. I just look for the smooth spots, yeah. But what I was saying is that I was pleasantly surprised. She bought me, it's called Beats Pro or whatever. It pops up on the phone. I'm still getting used to it because it doesn't come with any instructions. Not that you need any. Apple apparently bought Beats or they're working with Beats. I don't know how it works, but it matches. They have the Beats Pro has a color. It's like one is brown. Then they have one that's kind of, I guess, black, you know, chocolate, brown, then beige or whatever. They got colors, but basically, so when you put it in your ear, people can't see it. They don't just make a black one or a white one that just stands out, you know. Nobody has a white skin, so if you put a white ear pod in your ear, everybody knows you got an ear pod. Well, this one sits in your ear. It looks like a hearing aid. It attaches to the upper inner side of your ear, so there's nothing hanging down. I was a little skeptical, but then she had the older version that wraps around your ear. And I don't like to wrap anything on the outside of my ear because, you know, our shades have to go there when we ride. But what she was getting was something I could ride with that I could just have in there. So if I'm riding and somebody calls, I can pick up the call because Siri just says, you got a call coming. Should I answer? You don't have to touch it. You just say yes, and she answers the call for you. So I've had it for 2 days, and I'm telling you guys, I love it. I really love it. It's called Beats Fit Pro, and I just love it. It's a bit pricey for earpods, but for the tech that's in it, it lasts about 9 hours. It has a case that also charges it, so with the case you can get like up to a whole day before you have to charge both the case But I just like that you pick it up and it automatically is recognized. It also connects to my computer. I thought Paul was going to go to the front here. I think he was just filming.
That car.
He was telling Mike that we got stopped by the car back there. So I'm telling him everybody's back. But what I was saying is that the Beats Pro allows me to put the earbuds in my ear. Sometimes in the morning when I'm riding before work, you know, you say you have a flat or you get stuck out there. I don't get back on time, and I want to be able to not miss my calls. It's nice to have that. I used to take the Apple standard wired earphones that come with the phones, but when you route it under your jersey, it's flapping around, it gets under your neck. It's kind of becoming a pain, so I didn't look forward to using it. And I am just sold on these. It's just great. I love the convenience of it. I don't listen to music while I'm riding. They do have that feature because I want to hear the world. But they have like a noise cancellation, which I don't use when I'm on the bike. And they have something called, I think, noise cancellation and I don't know what they call it, transparency or something. Yeah, transparency. So I keep it in transparency mode. I want to hear what's going on around me, even when I'm in the house. But what I was going to say is that the noise cancellation is so good that I was testing it. My daughter came to talk to me. I could just see her lips moving, and we're in the same room. I could not hear anything she was saying until I switched to the transparency. So it works so well to where I personally will only use the transparency if I'm listening to music inside. You know, I want to hear what's going on around me, but I love the features, you know, and I love how easy it is to charge and all that. So we'll see, because I'm kind of old school when it comes to earphones. I'm still using wired ones because I don't have to worry about it running out of charge or anything. But on the bike, it'll be nice to have one in my ear. Even if I put both of them in there, you can still hear the world. But then if I get a call, I can just take it without breaking up my ride. I won't bring them on group rides. I'm talking about during the week when I ride before work. Because sometimes it takes more time to get back than you had planned, especially when the wind shifts on you. That's why I've been using them for. So those of you who ride with ear pods or whatever, check out this product. I think Apple is the one doing it now. Beats Fit Pro. And they have them to where if you're brown, they have it to match your skin. If you're yellow, I think they have it to match your skin. Then they have another color. It's kind of in between beige and whatever. They got all these colors. And Kim Kardashian worked with them because they call it Beats by Kim to come up with these colors instead of just having black and white, which is just really, you know, the black one and the white one. The white one just everybody in the world can see it in your ear. I just love how it disappears. It attaches to the inner part of your ear at the top. It's a nice soft little clip. I just love it. So I've been using it for 2 or 3 days and I love how clear it sounds. We're just riding nice and steady through here. I'm staying on Mike's wheel. Clement Chapoussin had come on the left. We saw him. I think he wanted to test himself or something and he didn't go by. So we got a break from that north wind, but now we're going into the west wind. The wind was blowing from the northwest at about 12 miles per hour. So probably about 18 kilometers an hour, something like that. So when I decide to not cover my knees, it has to be a day where, say, it's below 60, but it's a warm day where it's below 60. You know, a lot of times, yeah, depending on where the wind's blowing from, and then how the air, you know, this time of year, our air is just still cold. There are very few days where I would wear knee warmers. We have very few of those days. And most of those days I end up taking them off because it ends up being too warm. But whenever there's a doubt, I just put on tights. The ironic part about this ride is when we got back into town around noon or so, it actually felt colder than it did in the morning. It was really weird. On the way home, Paul and I were talking about it. It just felt cold at the end of the ride, almost 12:30, 1 o'clock. So the day just stayed cold. This is a downhill stretch here. We're going towards 2854. We're going to turn and go north into the wind. I believe Mike is going to pull off, and I won't stay up there very long. I took off a block of time, and you guys who saw the last video know that. And then the week before, I just didn't really train my regular schedule. So I made sure I did not do too much early in the ride because I wanted to finish the ride strong. Mike pulls off here. I'm gonna go by him. I think he's gonna pull off in probably maybe 100 or 200 meters. He'll pull off to the right. And I'm gonna pull through, and just before he can even get to the back, I'm gonna pull off. Yeah, Mike pulls off right here. I go ahead and pull through. I don't remember taking more than 15 or 30 seconds at the front. I didn't stay up very long. I didn't want to deal with this wind at this point.
Good pull, Mr. Barrera.
Mike always called Paul by both names, Paulilanga. I think he likes the sound of that. Paulilanga from the Republic of the Congo. We have an international team here. That wind is just blowing. I'm going slower and slower as I pull off. Like enough. Laura just pulls through. I'm gonna slip onto the back. You're working hard when you're doing 300 watts and doing maybe 16 miles an hour, or 16, 17 miles an hour, 350 watts. We're going up a grade, slight grade, into the north wind. I'm sitting in the back at 300 some watts because I think it's settling down now. I probably have to accelerate to get back in. But it just felt like, man, we're fighting the 800-pound gorilla. Now, I want you to look at how, well, Laura's actually, she sits lower than that. So yeah, my watts are like 250, so that's more reasonable. And we're doing about maybe almost 18 miles an hour, 18 to 19 miles an hour. It's leveling off a little bit. That's why you got to focus on either your heart rate, how you feel, and your watts. The speed, really, it's not something you can train by. You got to pay attention to, how does it feel? Am I going very, very hard? Am I doing something I can only sustain for a few minutes, or can I do this for 30 minutes? You got to do, that's what RPE is. You got to gauge yourself. Is this a pace that's sustainable for me? I'm right around sweet spot sitting in the back. Right around here, this is gonna start going up, then it will curve to the right. You can hear the wind. I dubbed it, but you can hear it. It is just pounding us. And that's why Abby suggested that we don't want to go 1097 west and go up 149, because 149 is going straight north. We would have been working. And then it's really, really hilly once you get outside of Montgomery, downtown Montgomery. It's very lumpy. So when you do your rides and you plan your routes, keep it flexible. Listen to the other members. All you come up with something that's workable. Don't be inflexible. It encourages people to look forward to your rides, knowing that when we get there, we'll decide what we're gonna do. So whenever I load the route, I always say proposed for Saturday. You know, because my attitude is, okay, I'm proposing that we go north. You got a better proposal? Feel free. I'm proposing that we go west. Let's go visit Whitehall or whatever. You know, that's just, it's like a suggestion. That's the way it should be. That everybody feel like they got input. Because everybody matters. That's what makes the group ride. The attendance, the audience, the people that show up, they make the ride. We ride these roads all the time. The difference is the company. And sometimes when you ride by yourself, on certain days, that's the mood, that's what you want that time. There are times you just want to ride by yourself. And so a lot of times I'll be riding and I'll see riders that I know and I just wave, you know. A lot of very experienced riders will ask, you mind if I tag along or whatever? Because, you know, you may not be, I mean, you don't want to be unsociable, but there are times when you just want to go by yourself. But most of the time you've already been riding by yourself for an hour, somebody tags around, no big deal. Mike and I are talking about his light. His rear light was not working. And he said that he had ridden in a heavy downpour earlier in the week. And water somehow made an ingress into the light, the cycle light. He tried to dry it out, but it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't come back. So probably something shorted out. Our sport is very important to us, for those of us who are in it. So what I do is every week I put a little something to the side for replacing tires, tubes, lights, whatever. You got to put something in your budget so you keep up with it. It is a lot less expensive if you keep up with your maintenance, especially if you don't do it yourself. Even if you do, keep up with replacing the chain. I always have an extra chain so that when that chain is worn, I immediately get it off of there. In the long run, it's a lot less expensive. And then you get another one, have a backup. Get your tires when they're on sale. So that if you have a cut that's too much or where you got to boot the tire, you're not running to the bike shop. You got a deal. So always keep extra tires in a drawer or cupboard somewhere.
Well, it's not as bad as yesterday. Wind wise is not as bad as yesterday.
It sounds like these guys rode on Friday. They're talking about the wind. The reason why I sprinted up to that light is I did not want to chase anybody on Lone Star Parkway. This road is very deceiving. It's one of those that it can't decide how much grade to give you and for how long. So it's kind of an odd little thing. It's like you're working and you're not working here too much. Then you're working. It's just, you know, and then if you're going into the wind, it can be brutal. So you see how it's curving to the left. This entire stretch is just a gradual increase in the gradient. And it stays with you until you reach the top. It's truly a ninja grade because it's not super steep. It just doesn't let up. Now it says 2%. You see, 2%, 1%, 2%, 1%. It's just there. So when you think it's backing off and you relax, now it kicks back off. Now it's back to 2%. So you can't get used to the grade. It's like it's teasing you. I'm going to get easy hit. I'm going to kick back up. Let's see. Let's see. It still says 2%. So you got to find a gear that you can kind of fan so you're not searching or you're not blowing, making your legs get too tight. I'm actually on a small chainring. I think I'm riding like a 39-17 or something like that. And just spinning it. Because right here, you see where the cars are. It's still going where those cars are. It's a nice long climb. Now it's back 1 to 2, 1 to 2. Wind's blowing from in our face and to the right. Now it's curving towards the west. So the wind's coming from the right and in our face. You'll see me go to a little bit to the left of John. I'm looking in my mirror. Then once it gets clear, I don't know if it's here, but I remember riding on his hip a little bit. Now it's leveling off and it's gonna go downhill. We're gonna go to Taco. That's the Pactimo Gile I had talked about on the last group ride. I have a video coming out about it. For the price point, it is just excellent. Did its job great. It's got pockets on it. Because once you put on those gloves, man, you can't really feel things the same way. So it was nice to have a gel on the outside. So the things I don't need to get to all the time, like my essentials kit, I put it in the jersey pocket. The other critical stuff like the camera and my food, I put a few samples of the food in the Gile's pocket. Put the camera in the Gile's pocket when we're not filming. Taco Corner. When it's cold like that, about an hour into the ride, we kind of stop so people can use the restroom and stuff.
Hey,
and Mike's gonna get some coffee and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll check the option.
You're small
The
enough.
wind is brutal.
Yeah.
The wind is brutal.
No, it's killing us, man.
I didn't hear you crying. Like,
We'll call it Laura abuse. Laura abuse.
oh, man. Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, we need to change it. We got about.
We're checking
it looks like
the
single
battery
digit
on the
percentage.
camera.
Yeah.
Like 9% or something. We got it.
The camera ended up coming on in our pocket and we were not aware of it. I edited those sections
Yeah,
out.
8%. So we need to change it. Yeah.
So we're gonna put a new battery in there. This is after we've gone through the forest. We are on Springbranch Road in the Tri-Lakes subdivision in northwest Montgomery County, Texas. On this cold day, it says 9 Celsius. We're lucky if it feels like 7. Because 9 Celsius is like 48, 49 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels like probably 42, 43. It feels a little warmer. But this is where Abby lifts the pace because he said he was cold. He was feeling cold. And on this road, you got to work because it's up and down. You can see the watts. That's what it takes for me to get up this bump. So whether you big or small, you got to work on what you need to be able to sustain for the duration you need to be able to sustain. So if you need to do 400 something watts for 30 seconds or a minute, you got to go out there and train, you know, depending on how you ride in your area, and teach your body to be able to tolerate repeats of that. So it's not something foreign to you when you hook up with your group. So the group is working. Nobody chatting right now. We just ride. I stayed in the back and I went left, right, just to get different shots, just to make sure that I wasn't just getting the person in front of me. It was such a cool, well, I say cold day, overcast at this point. Even my dogs, I call them my dogs because they always, there's a house coming up with a fence on the right. They come out and they're in the fence and they race each other even in the opposite direction that we're going, just to show us how fast they can run. And we get to know these dogs. They were not outside today. So I guess the owner didn't let them out. It's been damp in the area. And then with this cold front drifting in, it just felt cold. So Abby's trying to warm up. So we're doing 40 kilometers an hour. And then when we started to ride, Abby was saying, "Have mercy on me." He does that all the time. Have mercy on me. Then he come out here and lift the pace. residents in this area here in the Tri-Lakes have what I call Kong brain. Just they don't bother anybody. They don't have a problem that we're out here. They just go about their business. You saw that guy passing us real casually. We've had no issues here in the years we've been coming through here. So as a result, the terrain is great. Lots of good climbing in either direction. Then the people don't bother us. We love coming out here. Yeah. So we'll close it up just a little bit because there's a hill coming up. So this guy is going to wait a little bit till he can see. That's what I'm talking about. They have calm brain. Now he can see. He goes on. Look, he's using the other lane. For some people, it's too hard for them to do that. Yeah. That's how I pass motorcyclists, cyclists, other cars. So I don't discriminate. If I want to be passing, I give people plenty of room. I don't want to hit anybody. So that's the way we're taught in driver's ed. You know, if I'm in the neighborhood, there are kids playing on the street, I use the other lane and I slow down. I keep my eye on them because they're kids. You don't know what, you know, they might chase a ball or something. Just, you know, a little extra caution for what, 15 seconds? You know, however long, it doesn't matter. You know, nothing is that critical. There's no life or death situation where I gotta be rushing around. Abby's going back to lift the pace again. That's why. So I was talking to Laura about that. I said, why was he doing that? Why didn't he just stay there? And she said she asked him, and he said he was trying to warm himself up. Because when he does that, he gaps the group when he goes. So John's looking at him like, what are you doing? So and John's got to work to get on his wheel. And you will see Frank do that to us after. So Abby starts that. All of a sudden now, the elastic is getting a little stretchy. So there's going to be some attacks. You know, because we're on the downside of a 100-mile ride, let's say, and we've got about, let's say, well, I guess 80 miles for them. We've got about 40K left, let's say, 25 miles left. So, you know, people are going to be like, okay, let's test our legs or something like that. And that's going to happen on any ride. Things change, you know, let it happen. And then work together. You'll see us will work to keep the group speed. And then I think after the second off the front, we catch them and then we keep going. And you'll see that. It's kind of nice. That's the way you do it. Even in a race, you know. You have these little breaks and then you work together to get back. So you're not killing yourself by yourself from behind. For me, anytime the effort goes 350 and up, I feel like I'm working. You know, and 350 is sustainable. So 350, 450, I'm really working. Because, you know, 600, 700, how long can you hold that? Those are for little short bursts. Or even 1,000 watts on a climb. You know, you do that, open a gap, and then you sit down and do more reasonable effort. We're just looking nice and smooth. It's a tight group. This is where they scrape the road again. They've been doing that in certain areas. They do it on Honea-Egypt also. I didn't think they needed to do it on this road. That curve is not that dramatic. But that's me. I'm not a road engineer. This descent that's coming is very fast. I don't know if it's where we hit 58 kilometers an hour because the route map said at some point we hit 58 kilometers an hour. Which is pretty fast. Yeah, this is where we hit 58. I didn't realize that. Wow, that's like 35, 36 miles an hour. Coming down that hill. We have a bit of a northerly wind was coming from the left and then west behind us. But it's not that much. That descent, that's a 9% climb. That explains it. Because it's steep and long. I'm sitting on John's right here. Clément Champoussin from the AG2R Citroën La Mondiale team. I'm sheltered from the wind, but John is actually in the wind. He should be. You see how it's staggered? It's like a little echelon. And I'm an old crafty rider, so I'm sitting to the right there, saving my energy. See my heart rate? Middle of zone 2. Because we just went down that hill too. Now it's gonna start going up. Yeah, it says 2%. And then we got the wind blowing from the left and from behind us. So I'm staying over to the right to stay in shelter. So Abby goes to the front again, and he gaps Mike a little bit. Mike is just riding. He's not going to change his pace.
Just let him go. Just ignore him.
That's why I said just let him go, because I don't know what he's doing. It's his third move to the front. Just sit up there. You want to stay warm? Sit up there. So then he slows down again. I'm like, what was that? And he's drifting back. So I think, what's her name? Laura ended up pulling in a little bit, because Mike's going to get off the front soon. And Laura's going to be pulling. We're going to turn into the north wind. She's going to be pulling so hard. Laura sits so low to where Paulie Lunga feels like he doesn't have a draft at all. Like he might as well be the one pulling. So after a while, he'll be like, enough of this. He pulls off. And you'll hear me tell John, just keep it steady. And we can trade places. You know, we can work our way back. And then Mike Barrera is going to bridge up to Laura. Abby's going to go. So the three of them go off the front the first time. Then they'll do it again on Keenan-Cutoff, and then in the neighborhood they do it and we chase back. It gets interesting, more interesting from here. So Mike's been pulling, he's drifting back. You hear how quiet it is where I am. I'm looking for that draft very, very consciously. That's all I'm doing. Because I know that this stretch is a slight grade. I believe, I don't know how much of it, I don't know how high it gets. Right now it says 1%, but it's a long stretch. It goes to 2% there. The highway gets up to like 4%. This entire stretch we're working, and it's exposed once you get up in that curve. After we pass the house where the kamikaze dog used to live. See right here, she pulls up because Paul pulled off her wheels. Like, I'm not getting a draft. So I told John, I said, well, don't chase her. So Abby's going up to her, and I think Mike Barrera is gonna go. You got to do that. The big watts to get up there, so he's riding up there.
Just keep it steady.
And John is riding hard here. I can tell he needs to downshift. That gear he's in is a bit big for this wind and the hill. I told him to keep it steady, and we can just trade off. Because this is what will happen in a race too. See, they're right up the road. They're not super far at this point, but we don't want to burn out our guys back here. So I'm just waiting to see what. You know, John seems to be maintaining his rhythm. I think I end up downshifting because my cadence keeps going down because he's not going faster. So I downshift just to keep my legs turning. And we turn here, and then the wind's coming from the left now instead of in our face. So it's a slightly easier area. You can see the guys in the distance. Three of them up, so that's the breakaway. I'm still gauging John because I want him to do his work, and when he's done to let me know. I don't want to break his rhythm. I give Paul the camera. So the idea here now is, situation like this, you want to focus on, okay, we need to keep our group together because we're the locomotive per se, and those guys have broken off the front. Let's just keep our pace, because if what they're doing is not sustainable, they'll have to slow down. That's the way you need to think. So Frank says car back. We just hold our position. There's a crack that John's pointing to. But this has allowed John to find a rhythm. You know, he's riding within himself. And then those guys up the road are having their fun. They're going to get out of their system. But we're not going to slow down. We're going to keep going. There they are, there where that car is. We can still see them. We're on the open road. Springbranch Road, heading towards Highway 149. We're in Keenan. We're heading towards the Keenan-Cutoff Road, Keenan, Texas. So I was telling, I said, I kept raising the pace and changing it back and forth, back and forth. And so now this is a 4%. Yeah, there we go. 4% bump right at the highway. They're right here. So by saving our energy, we didn't blow our engines or whatever. We're good.
Hey, Elder needs to take a call.
Yeah, I was going to take a call. My phone kept ringing, and I decided, yeah, let's just go. Let's go. I was expecting a call because I'm dealing with the home warranty company, and they ordered, the company I'm with, when they can't fix something, they replace it. And they ordered it from Lowe's, and Lowe's has been dragging their feet. And so I've been calling and trying to manage the ticket. It's almost, that's the only thing. It's kind of a headache, but it's out of their hands. It's really low. So I was expecting them to give me, you know, to give you these windows. Well, we're going to come between 9 and 6. That's the whole day, you know. You might as well say we're going to come on Monday, you know, or whatever. I said, come on, guys, give me a finite period of time. 9 and 6. So I always get them to call me with at least an hour's notice so I can go on with my day, because I'm never more than an hour from home, let's say, during the week. You guys know what I mean. So at least you can get out of work and meet them there and do what you gotta do instead of sitting around. Go sit around for 7 or 8 hours waiting on you to deliver something. That's what that was about. So I just didn't pick it up. I was like, you know, Saturday morning, forget it. Deal with it another time. So I'm behind these guys. Paul's here with the camera. You can see Abby and them up there. Keenan-Cutoff is in the distance. I think they were going to be turning left. We're turning left up there. So they have their fun. We hold our pace. We're going to regroup again around that corner when we turn left. Then they'll do it once again in the neighborhood. We'll chase them down, and then all hell breaks loose. Because at that point, I decide, okay, we're close enough to home. Let me go ahead and play with them, see how my legs are doing. I come to the front to give Paul a wheel here. So Laura comes around. She raises the pace. John comes around. Frank comes around. I gradually join. Look at the watts. 4 something. I'm doing it to where it's not too drastic. Good, there we go. And the hill's kind of dying down. I'm looking in my mirror, it's clear. So by positioning myself here, see the guys are right up there. So now Laura is up there, we're gonna turn left. Laura has ridden up to them. For some reason, I got very thirsty at this point in the ride. It's like 10 Celsius, it says. I ended up finishing all my liquids. Normally on a cold day, I bring stuff back with me. So we turn here, we're all here. So you can see everybody had their fun. We're back together. They're going to go again. When that happens in your group, don't frown on that. That's what you want. Because there will be times when you want to be the one going or you want to go with them. So if people know that they can come and just ride, and then if you guys split up, you have different groups, that's okay. That's what happens in big races and stuff. Instead of restricting people, oh, we're only going to do this mile per hour. That's not realistic, and it's not fun, you know. let people come and go. So, you know, I'm gonna make a note on the next time I post the ride. I'm gonna borrow the theme from Mo's group that he used to post on their woodlands.org. They always used to say that the pace will be determined by who is there and the time of the year. And I'm gonna put that in there because I have like a little thing that I saved with the address of where our rides leave from, and I will add that to it so that everybody knows that the pace will vary. And so I will also stipulate that there will be multiple speed groups where applicable for those that are there. We're not gonna leave anybody out there, but you don't want to restrict people either. So you guys see how good this gilet looks? It's a lot less than the price of an ASOS gilet that looks just as good. You know, the different materials, of course, but I'm just saying that you don't have to break the bank. So I will release the video for the gilet. So those of you who are looking for a third layer, I love having the gilets. Very flexible, and it's also very, very, very packable. The last ride I rode it on, I took it off, folded it, and stuck it in between my bib and my base layer in the small of my back because I didn't want to use my pockets for it. It travels really well. I just like how long it is, and that little tail is flexible. That's what matters when you're shopping for gilets. They're not all created equal, because then it wraps under your pocket and you can just see a piece of the jersey and it just works out. So all of those little differences in the colors, that's what the drivers see when they're on the road. Makes you visible. Because as cyclists, we buy a lot of black stuff because it goes with everything. Most of our shorts are black. So we might as well get these little accent with colors that will make things pop. The overshoes I'm wearing are not pink. They're coral, they call them. They're in that family, you know. They do make a pink one, but this works. I don't wear them that often. Those overshoes are not for freezing or below freezing. They're, I would say, probably from freezing and up. They're not super cold weather stuff. But they're not for 18 Celsius or higher. So they're between like 4C to maybe 15C. They're gonna be just fine. That's the range they have that I like. Your feet never feel overheated. The road goes up here. I think I remain seated. See, the watts will go up, but I remain seated. And look at my cadence. I'm not spinning like a hamster either. I'm working the gear. You have to pay attention to how you feel. There are times when I might spin faster, but it may not be necessary to do that. So in a little while, these guys are gonna go off the front again. I will let them go. I'm just watching. So it will be Paulie Longa, myself, Frank, and John. And so what's gonna happen is, instead of us working together, Frank is going to try to bridge up to those guys, and he's not gonna be successful. He ends up paying the price. You know, he uses so much energy, you know. But that's how you gotta ride sometimes. You gotta test yourself. You know, that's how you're gonna learn whether you can do it or can't do something. Nothing beats a failure but a try. You gotta try to do it. If you never try, you will never know. So, but my thing is, if I'm going to go with them and I see them going, I'm gonna make the move immediately. You guys will see Laura do that. You gotta make a decision quickly before that gap gets very big. So you don't have to expend energy for a very long period of time. This is where they rode away from Frank. So I'm gonna ride up to the front. They're in the distance there, you can see them. So now what's funny is Frank was on their wheel. They rode away. While I was talking, the same thing happened in the group ride. I did not see them right away because I was just sitting in a bunch enjoying the sun. This is where the sun had come out. Look at the sky. And I was thinking about, man, the weather report said it was going to be gloomy all day. This is so nice. Everything was feeling great. By the time I looked up, they were gone. That's when you saw me come to the front. But here's the thing. They rode off from him. Why would he think he could catch them? Why did you let them ride off from you, and then in the neighborhood you try to bridge up to them? That's the part that I didn't get, you know. So maybe he was in a spot of bother or distracted at that time, and I guess, you know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean when I say don't let the gap open too wide before you decide to make a move. So now that they've got a good gap on us, they're turning into the neighborhood. It's kind of like if you're in a race. You guys want to work together back here, meaning you take a pull, you pull off, let somebody else come through, you know. So all I'm doing here is just riding. I'm not trying to kill myself. We're going to be turning right. They've already turned. I don't think we'll even see them when we turn, but they're not too far ahead. I checked before I went wide into that lane. I used my mirror. Nothing was coming, but I could carry more speed. You can see the gap I put on Paul. By going out, I carried more speed to the corner. We all do that from time to time. Paul and I have talked about it. So he comes through. I'm not going to let him sit up here too long. I'm going to come back around because sometimes all you need is a little reprieve. So my attitude is, okay, we're going to work together and either maintain the same gap or catch up to those guys. And I don't have to talk to Paul when I'm doing stuff like that. He knows. We ride enough together. He knows. I come to the front, give him a wheel. Spells him from the wind. And that's what happens on a team. You know, you guys ride together enough to where you just know what the other rider is doing and you know why. So all we're doing is maintaining. Now this is where Frank comes. He really lifts the pace. You can see. I'm doing almost 40K. He's got to be doing about 44, 45 kilometers an hour, so 26, 27. While the road's going, you see the undulations? This road is very deceiving. If you disregard it, it will smack you. And I know this road. We ride here all the time. He's not making progress because now he has hit that grade right there. So I don't know whether he was trying to catch him or whatever, but you weren't giving me a wheel. I am not going to break up our rhythm, and we just end up slowing down when you do that. But this way, we're not going to slow down. We're going to keep going. Watch. He's got a good gap, but he can't sustain it. He's not going to be able to ride up to those guys. That's why I asked the question, if you could do that, why didn't you do that to stay on their wheel? Why didn't you do that little extra work when they were riding off? So maybe at that moment he didn't have it, you know, and that can happen. But those are the questions for all of you as you ride and things develop. Just understand why you did what you did. Why did it ride off? Nah, maybe I didn't want to work that hard. That's good. That's a reason. As long as you know the reason. So Paulie Longa comes to the front. I slip behind. He's going to end up closing the gap to Frank. And then when he gets there, I think he's downshifting because there's a climb. I go ahead and pull through. I don't want our impetus to change. So all that energy he's expended, if he had worked with us, he would have felt better because once we get off camera, because the efforts did not decline when we caught those guys. When we're going to catch up, and then we're going to keep going, and he ends up paying the price for this effort. There's always a price to pay. So he did all of that. Now he's pulling off to the side to get back in the group. So you Tata Jem, for those of you out there from France, head and legs. Ride with your head. Right here, I pulled through. I end up pulling through too fast. So I look in my mirror. I'm soft pedaling. Paul knows what I'm doing. I'm soft pedaling. I'm looking. He's riding up to me. I continue to keep my legs moving. And then boom, I go ahead and start putting power back in. I don't want us to slow down. This is our chance to catch up. So had he worked with us, he would have saved a lot of energy and still be here. So you don't need to waste energy and not make progress. It's like, that's the whole point of being with the group. I could have gone with the group, and you will see in a little while I'm going to go with them. I'm waving Paul up. He's going to want to give him the camera, but I tell him don't stay up there.
Yeah.
Just take a short one and get off. Hold on.
Take it.
Take a short one, hold on.
I told him you already been pulling. Just take a short one and get off. We got John. We got Frank. I did not want to ride super hard today because this is the second week after my long break. I want to give my body a few weeks to get back. So they come through here.
Good.
And then I'm going to go back to the front. So even though I could go, I did not want to go because it just wouldn't have been advisable. I would probably get home and just be more sore than I usually am if I overextended myself at this point. Because I didn't get too many rides in during the week. I had to travel out of town also. It's just a different week. So there's always stuff going on with people as to why they don't ride at a certain level. That's why you can't gauge your performance by what someone else is doing. You're really riding against yourself. Just keep that in mind. So right here, they're going through the gate as we approach. They had backed off and maybe the gate was closed. I don't know. But I don't want to stop. When you chase up to a group or to another rider, go through. Because you're the one who's catching them. These guys are slowing down. I go ahead and go through. There's a climb right here. I just keep the effort going. Paul knows what I'm doing. That's why he's on my wheel. We're already riding. Let's just keep it going. They were the one who raised their effort. And so they raised it, they came back down. We kept ours the same. We're the locomotive. So we just keep going. We just keep going. It's the same thing when you catch up to a rider who has gone off the front and you say you want to bridge up to them. Unless you're really at your limit, when you catch that rider, go through. Even if it's just for a short time, he or she would appreciate you coming through because you had enough strength to catch me. Come through and give me a break because I've been here working. And sometimes all they need is 10, 15 seconds, then they'll come back through. But it's always cool whenever possible. It's not always the case, you know. But if you got something, just go on through. That's just the way. You catch the person, go on by. Then they know, okay, this guy wants to work. Or this rider, this girl or this guy wants to work. This rider wants to work. And so these guys, by us coming by like that, they know we want to work. And so you will see in a little bit, Laura will come to the front to give you a wheel. I don't want to shift. This thing kicks up to 3%. I just stand, roll the gear. And when you stand, your bike shouldn't be making noise. If it's making noise, something's up. Get that diagnosed. But once I sit down, Laura's going to come. Right here. I lift my pace. Look at my cadence. Same gear. I just increased the cadence. The road flattens out. That's why the watts are going down. But by increasing the cadence in the same gear, I'm ready for more. It's those little accelerations that get you. So you got to make sure you're in an optimal ratio. Snap. Souplesse, as the French call it. So at this point now, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good after that long pull back there. We'll bridge back up. I'm ready. If they go again, I'm like, I'm ready. Because we're in the neighborhood. Whatever happens in here, we can wait at the gate for any stragglers. And that's what we ended up doing. We ended up waiting for Frank because he was off the back in this stretch because of all the efforts that he done. And that's okay. Because if you never do those efforts, you're not pushing yourself enough. You got to do that. There's nothing wrong with being dropped. A boy said one time, he said, if you're a cyclist and you're proud about being dropped, you're in the wrong sport. So Mike comes around, lifts the pace. Look at the speed we're doing. We're doing about 31, 32 miles an hour. So about 31 miles an hour, he lifts the pace. I'm holding his wheel, and I'm like, okay, let's ride. Paul Longa's on my wheel. I think Laura's behind Paul. We're right at 30 at 48K. That's 30 miles an hour. So we check right and left. It's clear. This is where you need to pay attention. You got to stay on that wheel so you don't work too hard. A few seconds, I'm going to sit down. So when I sat down, the watts dropped. As a result, I'm still around sweet spot, whatever. You save your energy. So Mike's not going to stay up there super long because we're going so fast. Anything above 45K, you know, you're doing 28 miles an hour. I'm on the edge of the road there. I'm trying to sneak and get that little draft from the north. Then when the road turns again. And so Abby and Laura sneak by Paul. So this is us. 5 of us. Paul is a little off here. I think he'll get a little closer. The 5 of us have ridden away from John and Frank. And so Mike waves me by. I go ahead and pull through. I'm gonna work for 15 seconds and pull off. We're going pretty fast. You'll see me flick my elbow right after this bump, because I work on this bump to keep the effort high. Right there. Flick my elbow. Laura sees it. She goes through. Abby goes through. I'm looking in my mirror. Mike Barrera looks for Paul. I slip in front of Mike right there. Using my cadence, 110. We're going slightly downhill. It's on now. We're having fun here. We're firing. There's a bump here. And boom. And this road is going up. I don't know if it gets to 3%, but look at the speeds. We're doing 30 miles an hour, and we're on a grade of about 3%. This was crazy. And we just continue to accelerate. And Paul's like, you guys are nuts. I mean, that was just brutal there. So in a little bit, I see that. Oh, okay. The gate's about probably maybe a couple of miles up the road. I'm going to pull out of the line. They'll sit up. And I'm going to wait for Paulie Lunga. Paul's riding here by himself. Now, Paul knows to keep his effort steady because that's really what it takes. So I end up waiting for Paul, and we ride back to the gate, and we have to wait for John and Frank. I think John catches up to Paul and I before we get to the gate. But I wanted to just show this so you all can know that in your group, let people have their fun. And when you feel like you saw me at the third attack, I went to play with him. So now I pulled up, I'm waiting for Paul on that hill over there. You can see the watts will still be up, but I'm waiting. But I'm trying not to wait on a hill. I got to keep going because the hill is not where you want to stop. That's why you see my watts are still up. So he's not going to catch me right here because I'm doing 400 and some watts. He'd have to do 600 watts to get up there. So even though I'm right there, until this hill is over, because he's trying to stay within himself, because he's experienced enough to know that. That's how you got to ride. So I see him, not that far. And you will hear him tell me when he gets, I'm watching in my mirror, so when he gets within the draft, then I'm going to start riding. And he would tell me,
Good.
Good, and that's it. So I'll go ahead and start riding. And so that's pretty much what you want to do. Let your group, the guys are right up there. Let your group have their fun, because then you will grow the group and more people will want to come ride with you, knowing that all you care about is that we be safe, you follow the rules of the road, anything goes. You just have fun. So you can. That's the only way you're gonna improve. You can't restrict yourself or people. Okay. So I don't know what you guys did on Saturday, but you got a taste for part of what we did on Saturday, and it was just a great workout. Remember, get your K's in, and no matter what, keep the doctors far.
Turn it off.
Hey.
Should it be?